Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Many cinemas in the UK are under threat right now, and I want to tell you about that. To begin, though, I want to explain what the word under threat means. Now, you've probably already known the verb to threaten. To threaten is when you promise to do something, and it's usually something negative. For example, in the movies, it's very common to hear the actors, one will say to the other, "Oh, are you threatening me?" It means, are you saying you're going to do something bad to me? The verb to threaten simply means a promise of negative behavior. Another good example in a movie might be where the man says, "I will kill you." He's not actually killing the person yet, he's just promising to kill them. And that's what a threat is. Of course, in real life, these things don't usually happen. And if they do, you would run away to the police and you would say, "Oh, I've been threatened," or "Someone's threatening me." So a threat is a promise of something negative. I've never actually heard that being used in a positive way. It's always in a negative way. A threat is a form of intimidation. I think it was the musician Susan Vega that said, "Don't make a threat if you're not going to do it." And my final example might be, for example, if we think about hackers, you know, those people who can enter your computer, are hackers really a threat to us? You know, are they really dangerous? So to be under threat means that there's a danger that something is about to happen. And we usually use under threat to talk quite specifically about jobs, about businesses. So, yeah, cinemas in the UK are under threat. I noticed that the Empire group of cinemas are closing. Just yesterday, the company collapsed with the immediate loss of 150 jobs. 6 cinemas closed immediately, and there's a further 8 under threat. When companies go bankrupt here, usually administrators are appointed, and that's an administrator is a company such as an accountant's company, you know. Sometimes it's a big name. The administrators in this case is a company called BDO. I've never heard of them, but they've already commented and said that the cost of living crisis had really affected Empire Cinemas. And the other one, which has gone into administration, is Cineworld. Now, you might know Cineworld because it's really famous, especially across Europe. It's a British cinema chain. And as far as I know, only the British part has gone into administration. So it collapsed last month or the month before, and they're currently trying to restructure that to make it operable or viable for the future. Cineworld is really funny. And I say really funny because it's one of my favorite cinemas. Because when you go there, it has this really strange thing that it does. And that is you watch the advertisements, and then when the movie is about to start, it has these curtains which close over the screen and then reopen again. It's worth paying £15 just to see that. It's really trashy. I mean, it's very kind of trash American style. When I say trashy, I mean it's kitsch. It's something which clearly existed many years ago, and it's a tradition that they've obviously kept alive. I mean, when's the last time you went to a cinema which had little cartons over a digital screen? It's bizarre. So yeah, going to Cineworld really is like a walk back in time when you see those little curtains covering the screen after the ads. Another strange thing about Cineworld is that all the seats are on one level. So usually when you go to a cinema, the seats at the back are quite high, and then as you continue walking, you're walking on a little slope, and by the time you get to the front, it's like the bottom of a mountain, and you're looking up directly at the screen. Well, Cineworld here isn't like that. It's like an American style theater. Everything is flat. So if someone in front of you is very tall, then you don't get to see the movie. You need to move to get out of their way. It's more like a bus. Yeah. And of course, the other thing about Cineworld and their cinemas here is they're absolutely huge. I know that Cineworld in Glasgow, in Scotland, is the tallest cinema in the world. It's a huge office block. And the one near where I live is in this kind of like American style shopping mall. It's very Americanized, so there's nothing around it. You can't really walk to it. You need a car to get there. And it has a massive car park. It's like an airport. And as you walk into it, it's like an airport reception. It's just a huge, big, empty room. Uh, and I don't know why, but anytime I go, the only people in there are the security guards and the staff who work there. I mean, the service isn't particularly good in Cineworld. I'm not surprised that it's gone into administration because it's always empty. And of course, the same as the theatres, what they've done here is they've started putting bars, little pubs inside them so that you can buy alcohol. Now, that's a really bad idea because, of course, when you're drunk going to watch a movie, you immediately start shouting because, as you know, British people don't really know how to behave. Well, with or without alcohol, I think the young people struggle to have good social skills, but with alcohol, it makes things worse. So yeah, they've started opening up bars in the cinemas. I always thought that was really strange. I mean, if you have a cinema in the middle of nowhere, which you have to drive to get there, you can't get there by public transport, why would you then offer alcohol? That doesn't make any sense. And for me, that's just another example of how much in denial we are about drinking. I was on a train 2 weeks ago, and currently alcohol is prohibited on trains. I say currently because it's only a temporary thing. The government are considering making it permanent, but everyone's so much in denial that people here have problems with alcohol that they put this temporary prohibition on the trains. And of course, everyone just ignores it. I mean, there was a party on the train that I was on. Everyone was drinking very cheap alcohol. I saw an Islamic couple sitting across from it. They looked horrified. I mean, the woman looked frightened, and so did I. I got up and moved. And the ticket inspector, he seemed very happy to entertain them, when of course what he should have done was to warn them to put it away, get off the train, or call the police. But he didn't. And yeah, we seem to, in principle, say, oh, yeah, there is a problem with alcohol. But then we go and open up bars in the theaters and cinemas. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, yeah, so that's the end of Cineworld. The administrator there said it's going to be restructured and slimlined in a way that probably you're not going to recognize. What they should do, of course, is just make it all online so that you can watch cinemas or watch movies, I should say, without actually going there. I mean, anything which has a physical building now, of course, it's going to be under threat because everything is moving up to the cloud. So to stream online would be their way forward, I think. But I think they probably don't realize just how or where the world's going with that. Yeah, so that's our cinemas. So that's Cineworld, and the Empire cinemas are going. Yeah, I mean, the cinemas here, like I say, they're kind of like airport terminals. The last time I went there was to watch uh was it the Rock Johnson movie? I can't remember which one it was. It's the one where he was uh taking passengers on a boat down a river. I think it was in South America or in Africa. I don't remember. And he took them to find some secret supernatural mountain or something like this. It was a good movie, and yeah, there were four people serving me. One was actually talking to me, and three were standing behind him. They didn't look pleasant, and they were all really staring at me bitterly. I'm not sure if it's because I'm older, or maybe it was because I didn't book online, but they were really uncomfortable with me, and I was really uncomfortable with them. And I'm thinking, what is happening here? Why is everyone so on edge? Is it because they get a lot of drunk people because of the bar? Or is it just because I've come in at a time when they're not busy? I mean, it looked like, when people are singing, you have the main singer and you have three backup singers behind them. It was a bit like that. There was this guy serving me, and there were three women standing behind him. It really looked like a music group. I was waiting for them to repeat everything that he said. Uh, so anyway, it was a strange experience. But I think they deal with so many people that they have to evict or throw out. Maybe that was the problem. I don't know. But yeah, that's the end of Cineworld. They're one of our biggest providers. So I don't know who's left. I think the Odeon and the other cinema group is Vue, VUE. They're still around, but who goes to the cinema these days? And anyway, why would you go if you're not really going to be very comfortable with the people who are serving you? It's really strange. You walk in, you buy the ticket at the reception desk, then they search your bags because Cineworld, I think, is the only cinema in the UK where you're not allowed to take food in. You have to buy your own food, which again is really weird because they have a McDonald's just across the road, a drive-through. So I don't know what they're trying to prove by that. So yeah, that's our cinemas which are under threat. Anyway, I don't know the last time that I saw a good movie at the cinema. That Dwight Johnson movie, is it The Rock? Dwight or Dwayne Johnson? I don't remember his name. That movie was quite good. I think I saw a Spider-Man movie as well. I mean, the sound effects are really good because they set it all up in such a way that it sounds like it has some kind of surround sound. Speaking of cinema and media and these things, one of my favorite singers is a singer called Elaine Caswell. She's not really so famous in the musical charts because she's a backup singer. She sings backup for Cyndi Lauper, Celine Dion. She does backup for all kinds of people. Her voice is a contralto. Back in the 1980s, she led a number of bands, which you might know. She really does have the voice of an angel. And because she's like a backup singer, her voice often appears in advertisements. So if you've ever watched an ad on TV, especially during the 80s and 90s, for cornflakes, Doritos, Dr. Pepper, Pepsi, I'm sure you've heard her voice. You probably just didn't know her name. She's an amazing singer and she's done so many things. So quite often you're at the cinema listening to an ad and I'm thinking, oh, that's Elaine Caswell. I really think more people need to know about her because her voice is amazing and so talented. And she's done so many things. Actually, I was listening to an interview with her just yesterday on the Rockonomics podcast. Rockonomics is a podcast about the economics of rock music. Unfortunately, they stopped doing the Rockonomics podcast in 2019, but it's still online and it's all about how musicians survive. They've got some really good interviews on there. Elaine Caswell is on there. She was interviewed. That was episode number 34. I listened to it on Stitcher. Actually, Stitcher's disappearing soon. So if you use Stitcher as your podcast provider, yeah, it's vanishing in August. So make sure you switch. But Rockonomics, I think, is on Spotify as well. It's on everywhere. And Elaine Caswell was on episode 34. And they asked her some questions about, how she survives and what the music industry is like, and also what she's done with her life. And she was explaining how dark the music industry can be, especially financially. You make a fabulous demo or music video, you're even employed, on a music video, and then suddenly the record company decides not to release it. So she speaks a little bit how she was saved from stardom, because I think she realized that it's very, very dark in terms of how you survive, and she was quite happy. She didn't want just to become known for maybe a group of really bad, cheesy hits she had in the 80s. A lovely woman. Actually, if you like the Rockonomics podcast, Tiffany's on there. Do you remember Tiffany? I think we're alone now. Yeah, that was that one-hit wonder from the 1980s, that girl with the red hair, who ended up divorcing her parents, I think. Wasn't she the first girl in America to divorce her parents or to get access to her funds from her parents? Yeah, there was something very dark with her life, a little bit like Britney. She had to fight to get the money released from her guardian, as far as I recall. And she's interviewed on the Rockonomics podcast as well. It's a pity that podcast isn't running anymore. It's very nice. So yeah, if you're in the mood to have a look at something different, have a look for Elaine Caswell on the net. I love her jingles for all those TV ads in the 80s. I remember her singing the cornflakes ads. She always had this kind of rock chick voice, It was always a powerful moment when she was doing these ads, these advertisements. Anyway, yeah, that's something for you to look out for next time you're at the cinema or watching a TV ad in America or the UK. Probably the singer is going to be Elaine Caswell, especially if it's an old ad for, well, anything. She did so many advertisements for different companies. It's impossible to list them all. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's the demise, the end of the cinema industry. So it's only a matter of time before the others fall. I don't know about social cohesion. You know, cinemas are a good place to meet your friends. Also, in the Western world, cinemas, of course, were known for dating, you know, Saturday nights at the movies. Another nice song was that the Drifters, was it? Saturday night, it's 8 o'clock. Another nice song to look up today if you're thinking of the movies. There's one called Saturday Night at the Movies, and there's another one called they did a few songs about the movies, didn't they? Nice band, the Drifters. Yeah, so it's a whole culture that's being wiped away. Although anytime I'm at the movies, it's usually just a bunch of teenagers that are there. Nobody else seems to go. They've tried showing classical music concerts in the cinema now. I must admit, that got me going to the cinema one Sunday morning at 8 a.m. They always show them at really weird times because they know that they're not mainstream, and it's only anoraks like me who go to see them. Now, you know the word anorak. I've told you before, an anorak is someone who specializes in a really weird, small hobby which no one else knows about. So, yeah, when I go to watch a theatre performance at the cinema, it's usually empty. Some of the cinemas in London now do live performances to try to get people in. The Barbican does that. They had a question and answer session with a French actress a few years ago, Isabelle Huppert. She's an actress that always plays the role of crazy women in movies. So some cinemas are trying that, but those cinemas would be independent. And I think probably they're surviving quite well because they show different kinds of movies. But we have one here, I think, as well, an independent cinema. Seems to do okay, but it attracts the weirdest people, you know. But anyway, so that's cinemas here. So I'll give you more information on that when it becomes available. So the Empire is vanishing, Cineworld as well. I think both of those are in Leicester Square in London. You know that square which is full of cinemas that have the Odeon, Cineworld, Empire. So I'm sure there'll be a casino ready to move into those buildings, or maybe one of the other cinemas will take it over. I don't know. But that's all from me. Have a good day. Bye.